Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm using the best Chanel foundation I have ever used. This is the most perfect Chanel foundation for me. And you might be wondering, well, what formula could she possibly be talking about? And I do have quite a few favorites, but here's the fun part, or the frustrating part, depending on how you look at it. I made it myself using this little DIY compact. I got the idea from TikTok because a couple months ago I was scrolling and I found these creators who were using these compacts to create their own custom foundation. And they were just sort of playing around with it, and I thought, one, that's a really cool concept, immediately purchased. And then I thought, well, what if I tried to create the perfect Chanel foundation? What's great about the compact is the sky's the limit. So you can add foundations, you can add skincare, you can add mist, toners, you can play around with the pigments, the finish. You can really come up with whatever you want and truly customize the product to fit all of your needs and wants. I genuinely put a lot of thought into what I wanted to mix together to make it just perfect. So I've been playing around with this today, and I will tell you right off the bat, it is not as easy as it looks. It takes a lot of time and patience, but I think we made it in the end. It is the foundation that I'm wearing on my skin today, and I think my makeup turned out really beautiful. I love the way it looks close up. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to show you everything that I put together to create my perfect Chanel foundation, and I'm going to walk you through the thought process. Here's what the empty compact looks like, and we have to talk about this for a second because it's pretty genius. I want to say I spent a little over $7 each on Amazon, so very reasonably priced. When you open it up, you have a very generous sized mirror. Looks like there might be a little piece of film that I need to peel off, and you also have the applicator sitting right on top. It's a really velvety sponge. I'm actually so impressed by the applicator. I think this is going to be really nice for applying the product to the skin as well as doing little touch-ups. So this I really love. When you pop this part open, inside you have the little sponge right here. And this pops in and out very easily, so you could always just remove the sponge and then dump whatever products you want to mix directly into the compact. Or if you flip it around on the back, you see it says push right here. If you do as directed and push that out, this actually separates, so you have the little insert and then the larger compact, which is kind of nice because if this is maybe a little bit too bulky for you, you can always just throw this in a travel bag on its own. I have 5 ingredients picked out, and all 5 products contain skincare ingredients already, so I'm feeling very confident about this mixture. I even thought about just mixing 1 pump of each foundation, stirring that together and see what happened, but I might save that for a future video. So starting with the base, I pulled out my Sublimage Le Tint foundation, because this is probably my favorite Chanel foundation. There are so many that I love for different reasons, for different occasions, but if I really had to choose just one Chanel foundation, it would be this. It contains the most advanced skincare. I love the finish. I love the coverage. I think it's a really decent shade match on me. I love the way it wears throughout the day. I love everything about this foundation except for the packaging. That would be my one complaint, and it is pretty nitpicky, but I'm not a huge fan of the jar. It looks and feels very luxurious, but it's not as convenient, so I just don't find myself grabbing this on a regular basis. I quickly grabbed this little brush. I want to say this came with the Sublimage concealer, and I'm going to use this as my spatula to scoop some of the product out. I think this is a good place to start. I don't want to waste it. It's a really expensive foundation. If something goes wrong and I don't really like this, I don't want to waste any of my precious Sublimage Le Tint, but I think this is a good starting point. I mentioned the shade. I usually wear B30 in Chanel foundations across the board, but the Sublimage Le Tint does run a smidge light. Not much, but it is noticeably a little bit lighter than the rest of the shades. So I am going to go in with a couple squirts of this number 1 de Chanel. This is the Red Camellia Skin Enhancer in the shade Medium Coral. Since it's summertime, I'm showing a little more skin. I'm doing a lot of sunless tanning. I just want to add a little more color to the foundation. I'm a first timer here, so I'm unclear on the best ratio, but I'm starting with 3 full pumps of the Skin Enhancer. This is going to add a little skincare, a little glow to the foundation, as well as a little deeper color. Next, I pulled out my Sublimage Le Swan Perfecteur because I wanted a built-in primer. And since we're starting with the Sublimage Le Tint, I figured we might as well stay within the Sublimage family. This has a little glow, a little skincare, same Sublimage skincare line. It also helps to grip the foundation and make it even more long-lasting, so I'm hoping this will help fill in any fine lines and pores and increase the longevity. It has such a pretty glow. I love this. The glow is a little more noticeable, I would say, than the Skin Enhancer. You can see a very slight gold pearlescence. It's so pretty. I absolutely love this. This is a product that I definitely save for special occasions. It's expensive and I want to savor every last drop. So I did 3 pumps of the primer. Because the goal was to create something with a little lighter coverage that kind of mimics the CC cream, I wanted to introduce some SPF because the Sublimage Le Tint doesn't have any SPF. Now, before anybody jumps down my throat, I know this might not truly work because when you mix sunscreens with other products, it can sometimes take away from their efficacy. So I'm not really sure this is going to be the best idea. I don't know if I'm going to get the true SPF 50 that I would out of this alone if I mix it in here, but I'm still gonna try it anyways. We're having a makeup mad scientist moment, so I'm just gonna go for it, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to pick up the UV Essential. So this is an antioxidant, anti-pollution, broad spectrum SPF 50. I still recommend going in with your SPF first and then using any sort of coverage, foundation, CC cream, skin tint, whatever you wanna use on top. But let's just squeeze a little in here. See, the liquid version, the original, would have maybe been a little bit better for this project because it's so thin. This is a little bit thicker. And I want to be careful that I don't accidentally lighten it up. I can always go back and add a little more foundation if I need to tweak it at the end. So we have our glow, our foundation base, our SPF, our primer. The 5th and final product I wanted to mix in is just straight skincare. And I wasn't sure what to use, and I found this little sample of Sublimage. It's the Sublimage L'Essence Fondamentale, the fundamental essence. It's a serum from Sublimage. This should help with the consistency. So I'm just gonna do several squirts so that we have a lot of skincare in there. Ooh, I'm excited to mix it up. It still looks pretty thick. I think adding the serum at the end was the real game changer because it was the thinnest of all of the products. It was very liquidy and runny, so it helped to thin it out a little bit. I just went rummaging through all of my skincare samples and I found the Hydra Beauty Micro Liquid Essence. And I think this will be just the little cherry on top because it's a little bit more thin. I know you have to be careful with the base. If something is water-based versus oil-based, it might not mix very well together. So I'm trying, again, not to be wasteful, but I didn't want to go in with a toner or a setting spray, but I do think it's still a little bit thick. Of course, a lot of the product in there is skincare, not foundation, so it might actually not be that bad. I'm just gonna add a little bit of this, not much. Is it gonna come out? There we go. Ooh. Perfect, just a couple drops, just to sheer it out. I'm doing one final mix, making sure everything is nice and blended, and then I'm going to pop the sponge in. I put the compact back together, I have my sponge. I still think the consistency is maybe a little bit too thick, but it's the moment of truth. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my creation using my applicator, and I'll see what happens. Okay, so what I did, I just flipped the sponge in the compact. That way the side that was on the bottom is now on the top, and it's fully saturated with the foundation. Hopefully I'll be able to get more product out of it. So I didn't change the formula at all. I do really like the applicator. It's so sheer and glowy, but it does help to add a little coverage and even out my skin tone. Okay. It looks like it's the right color. It looks almost a little bit intimidating, like it's a lot of foundation, but I added so much skincare. I actually probably need a little bit more foundation. But that is kind of pretty. It's almost as if I'm wearing nothing. It feels so lightweight. I feel the micro essence. It's almost as if I'm just applying a light toner to my face. It's very skin-like. I basically created the Water Fresh tint. I mean, it still looks like my skin, just a little bit more enhanced, a little bit more glow, and a little bit more even. I can still see all of my freckles shining through. I think the shade looks really good still. And we probably have a little sunscreen, although it would be hard to tell how much I actually got on my face. I think we're at a really good starting point. It's maybe a little bit too light. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board real quick. It needed a little bit more foundation because I started with a pretty small amount of the Sublimage Le Tint. I didn't want to waste it, it's so expensive. But then when I was applying it, it was going on so sheer. So I added some of this Ultra Le Tint Velvet because it's very thin. Kind of the perfect texture and consistency for the sponge. And then I also sprayed a couple spritzes of the Sublimage Le Brume. So this is a great setting spray. It's a hydrating mist. So this is going to add even more hydration. It helped sheer it out even further. So now it's sheer, but it still has a bit more coverage. I love this. Ooh, I love it so much. So it adds a little bit more coverage. What I like about the Ultra Le Tint Velvet is that it has more, yes, that is the name. I know they changed the name. I wanted to make sure I got it right. The Ultra Le Tint Velvet has more of a natural matte finish. Nothing from Chanel is truly matte, as in dry, dusty, powdery finish. It's more of a natural matte. So combined with everything else, I think it works really nicely. And we added more setting spray. See, this covers a little bit more. My cheeks get a little bit red. On this side, I still have some redness, but here it kind of covers the redness and I can still see my skin. It's still going on very thin. I'm not adding a ton of foundation. See? It's a very expensive foundation if I were to total up the cost of all of these products individually. But I think just for fun, just to experiment and see what I could come up with, I'm very happy with the end result. I mean, this looks really nice. In the end, this compact did get a little messy. And I think the sponge inside really soaks up a lot of product. It can hold a lot of foundation. It can probably hold a lot more than I was willing to risk because I only went in with, a few squirts here, a few squirts there. I might struggle now to extract the product out of that sponge. But I think it's a cute idea. It's fun for travel. It's fun for touch-ups. And I'm gonna test this out over the next few days. I'm gonna use this as my foundation. The little applicator got a little messy, but that's okay. And we'll see how it holds up. We might as well finish up the makeup look with some of my other Chanel favorites. So I'm going in now with the Corrector de Chanel. This is in B10. I'm almost finished with my current Pat McGrath Lab. So as soon as I finish that concealer, I'll probably move this one to the top drawer. I recently organized my makeup collection and I separated all of my Chanel products into a separate area so I can find everything. But this is top drawer worthy. I want to make sure I use it, I can see it, it's in plain sight. I'm blending this out with the Pro Concealer 71 brush. This is a Sephora Pro brush. It has the perfect shape for getting around the eye. One of my favorites. I always like to stock up during the savings events. Next, I'm going to warm up the skin using the Le Beige Bronzing Cream. This is the one that launched over the summer in shade 392. So it's a slightly different formula than the full size. For blush, I'm going in with the Balm Essential in shade Rouge Frais. I was never a huge fan of the Balm Essential. I would always buy them all every time Chanel came out with new shades because they are really pretty. I just would find myself never reaching for them, never actually using them in real life. My all-time favorite setting powder, the Loose Natural Finish Setting Powder, is my go-to. I basically use this every single day. I'll never go without it. And I'm going to use the other side, the powder side of this Hourglass brush. I'm just going to very lightly set right underneath the eye. I don't want to cover up the glow. Anywhere I think I might get a little oily. Base is just about done. For the eyes, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I pulled out my Mediterranean eyeshadow palette. Yes, this is 747. It has really pretty sand shades. It's soft, it's neutral, it's incredibly wearable, and I would say this is probably one of my most used palettes from Chanel. And then I'm tapping on the deepest shade in the palette just a little bit in the outer half of the lid, outer half of the crease. I finished the eyes, I quickly threw on a nude lip, and this is the finished makeup look for the day. And overall, I have to tell you, when I look really close up in the mirror at my skin, I'm impressed. I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm actually just feeling a little bit relieved that this video idea worked out because I love the foundation. Now, it was a lot trickier than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why. I guess because TikToks are so short and edited, I thought this was going to be really easy to just mix together. It took a little trial and error, but once I got the formula right, I ended up really liking it. So I made a bit of a mess, and all totaled, it turns out the perfect foundation from Chanel takes 8 products. I will total it up just for fun. So instead of sticking with the original 5, I ended up using 8 products. But it doesn't really matter. I already had the products on hand. I didn't purchase anything other than the compacts in order to create it. And I really like it. What I love so much is that it has so much skincare. Just about every product has skincare. I like how thin it is. And I think that's kind of the beauty, I guess, of one of these compact foundations is that it does have to be a little bit more liquidy. So it doesn't go on like a typical cream foundation. Of course, I layered the rest of my makeup on top. But on a day that I was just doing light makeup and truly running out the door, I could definitely see just patting a little bit of this on the cheeks, anywhere that I get normal redness, a little bit on the forehead, maybe the chin if I have some breakouts. You know, cover the areas I want coverage, but then the rest of my skin can simply breathe and be. Now, is this something that I'm going to mix up every few weeks or whenever I run out? Probably not. But I do like the idea just for fun if you want to play around with what you already have and customize. Create something that's truly for yourself that suits all of your needs, checks all of your boxes. It's just kind of fun. And I also like it for travel. If you're going to be away for maybe 2 or 3 days and you're used to combining or layering a lot of different products, this might be kind of convenient for you. You could load this up with maybe even just your favorite foundation and take this instead. And if this is too bulky, again, you can always pop out the center section. Just take that small little case. I like the makeup. I had fun creating it. So I feel like this was a success and I truly did create the perfect Chanel foundation. Now I'm gonna have to take notes and send an email to corporate. And that completes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you had fun with it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. Is this something you would try yourself? Let me know down below in the comment section, what would you mix together if you were creating your perfect foundation? As always, I will be linking everything mentioned. Everything on my face will be listed down below in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.